It's massive out there, Zone 2. Even people's ears are probably pricked up listening to this. Zone 2.
This is going to be the most watched part of this episode.
Yeah,
now.
Zone 2. Bang. That's it. Right there. Which is great because it's specificity, and specificity is the key to being really good at things. But I've got to be honest, I tend to break it down to a bit simpler than that.
How so? Because have you ever looked at Strava's zones?
Oh, not specifically.
They are wild.
That's my pace. This is how I run.
Yeah.
I run, and this is my running. People are like, oh, I can't control my heart rate. Yeah, but you haven't slowed down. Depends on who they are.
See, this is my point.
Yeah.
There's a level, right?
There's a level.
There's a level.
Truthfully, a really good way to stay in that zone if you don't want to slow down that much. And the more mitochondria you have in your body, the more you can get with the lactate. But like cardiac drift, if that's it in 20 minutes, well, what is it over an hour? It's flawless. It's not flawless, is it? Nothing's flawless. It's like, come on, mate. Yeah, I'm sure
I can always rely on you, Dan, to give me your true and honest opinion.
True and honest opinion, yeah.
Dan, welcome back for episode 7 of Ask the Coach. I'm not sure if we've quite emptied your brain yet, so plenty more episodes to come. This week is going to be all about heart rate.
Yes.
I feel like everyone that takes their training seriously, so they kind of go through that growth period where training isn't just a hobby now, they want to really get better.
Yep.
They all obsess about heart rate.
Yeah, like you go from just cycling or running or swimming or whatever it is, and then what's the next step?
Yeah. And heart rate becomes an obsession, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'd say so.
It's the thing that you can look at if you're looking at your watch, maybe if you're running, biking, whatever it is. Yeah. And then it becomes your next, well, what does that number mean, right? So people are trying to work out, is this good? Good and bad are words that I would probably avoid.
Why do you think people obsess about it?
Well, I guess that's my question for you, really.
I feel like I know why.
Okay.
I feel like you can guess. Yeah. What would be your reason? Why do you obsess over it?
I guess, I mean, there are some myths that we can try and dispel today, but the feeling
I
is...
want your opinion.
My opinion.
Because you are a bit of an obsessor.
That's now out in the public domain. Thank you very much for that.
No problem.
I would say because it's a feeling, right? So your heart rate, you can feel it.
Fair.
So for me, if it's high and it hurts, surely I'd want it to be lower and hurt less.
Okay, yeah.
So that's for me why
that's
heart rate...
That's quite deep, actually. I wasn't expecting such a deep answer.
That's 2 insults in 1 minute.
No, I think it's because it's actually really variable and people like to control things. Like pace, you can kind of sit at a pace quite... Not easily, but it's definitely way more controllable. Heart rate is quite hard to control.
Yeah, and isn't there this thing called cardiac drift?
Yeah.
Which just basically means the longer...
Drop that in there, really. I like that.
I'm just
some science.
In the first few episodes of this podcast, we didn't do our research, guys. We've leveled up, okay? So I now know what I'm talking about.
We know every PB for every marathon in 5K.
I might need to refresh every now and then, but that's absolutely right. So, yeah, this is something that I heard about when that guy who ran all those marathons every day across the continent.
Will Good?
I think that's the guy.
Yeah, bold.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
And the question was around his heart rate because it really was quite stable, and actually people would expect it to drift.
There's big controversy about all that, though, isn't there?
Yeah.
Have you heard all that online?
I haven't heard the controversy.
Well, there's a lot of controversy about it.
Are people calling him out?
It because he was withholding his heart rate data from Strava.
Interesting.
So technically, he could jump in a van and just drive.
Tempting.
Because if you don't have any heart rate data,
that's the thing, isn't it? So the heart rate is this actually happened data.
The story goes, a guy actually flew out who really didn't believe he was doing it and ran with him. There was a bit of controversy at the start, and then ran with him for a couple of days, and the heart rate data was on there, and then he came home, and the heart rate data went.
Interesting.
Honestly, so it's really, unfortunately, with any big thing, isn't there? There's always some controversy. There's always a hater.
If you do something,
when we become extremmost famous podcasters, there's going to be haters.
Absolutely.
There might even already be haters.
Hello, haters. If
we're not even that famous. We're not famous. We're literally we're the most unfamous.
You're Worcester's favourite endurance coach, which makes you very famous.
It doesn't make me the most Worcester's famous coach.
True. Favourite and famous.
Yeah.
You're not interchangeable.
So cardiac drift. So cardiac drift is effectively what happens during... it can be more... It kind of happens all the time anyway, because your heart rate just goes up.
Because you give your athletes different lengths of training.
Yeah.
And so if you have like a steady state for 40, 60, 90 minutes, you're expecting cardiac drift, are you?
A little bit. Depends on who they are.
See, this is my point. There's a level, right?
There's a level.
There's a level. Okay,
There's
explain the level. What means
so if you're a beginner, you'll probably see more cardiac drift because effectively you're trying to hold, let's just say 160 beats per minute. It's harder the higher you go because obviously the harder you're working. So your cardiac drift will be bigger if you've got a limited capacity.
Yes.
So the smaller aerobic capacity you have, effectively, the more impact it's going to have because you're working harder. And the harder you have to work, the more drift there's going to be.
Theoretically, though, Dan, if you were holding pace, which is incredibly difficult if you're road running, but maybe on a treadmill, holding a pace, could you hold the heart rate, or will it just drift eventually?
You're doing two different things.
Okay.
Because pace is not the same as heart rate. Now, decoupling is where we've talked about it every now and again, where you put them together and you say, do this pace and this heart rate, or you do this heart rate to this pace, and what's the difference in the percentage of what's happening during it, if it's going up or down, or how sort of like efficient are you at that heart rate to pace. But sometimes holding a pace is not the same as holding a heart rate, because if you hold a heart rate, your pace might drift. But if you hold a pace, your heart rate might drift. So
I've got quite a beginner's level understanding here. And so it's, in my head, a simple theory is if you run a 5-minute kilometre, your heart rate is 150.
Yeah, and it just stays the same. You can do 150 at 5-minute K.
But if you do that for 2 hours, it's going to be...
Yeah, with anyone, it would probably go up.
Okay, cool.
I say with anyone, that's not true, because there could be... Kipchoge probably can do that with his eyes closed. So
he's probably at 100 at that.
Yeah, and he's just going through. But yeah, you'll always, the harder you're working, and now obviously to supplement that, depending on how far you're running, cycling, swimming, whatever it is, you have to then fuel it. Because if you are putting more stress on your body and you don't fuel it very well, then you're going to be, it's working harder. So your heart rate's going to go higher, but the pace might stay the same, but it will feel harder, and it feels harder because you're working harder.
And your heart rate's working.
And your heart rate's going up.
Yeah, of course
it's like the energy. It's like it's the pump, isn't it? It's what's literally pumping the blood through your body to fuel your muscles, to supply it with everything. You know,
fuel, oxygen.
So like ATP's happening. You know, it's you're requiring more sugars the longer you go, and effectively, your body then is effectively just pumping the oxygen around to your muscles to make sure everything all basically happens.
Okay.
In a very limited terms, without getting too complicated.
No, again, I feel like I really learned something there about, drift and how it affects and why it would happen.
But some people, it's worse in untrained people.
Yeah.
Yeah, is effectively it. If you jump on a bike and you go up a hill and your heart rate goes up, it might not come back down. It might stay up and then keep going up. That's quite a common thing.
And that's specifically when you're untrained, and that's based on capacity?
Yeah, effectively. Yeah.
Always capacity.
It's like what is your aerobic capacity? It's your heart rate could get, you're working harder. It's basically as you're working harder, you're putting more stress and strain on your body. So people are like, I can't control my heart rate. Yeah, but you haven't slowed down.
I feel like I've said that to you before.
Yeah, but it's like, I'm trying to maintain the pace you've set, and it's like, I have set that, but I've also recommended a heart rate zone, which is kind of more important. But there's never a so there's a zone. There's always a zone for a reason. There's a zone because you need to move. Like, you can't just go hit this pace. I mean, the ground moves. Obviously if you're on a treadmill, that's different. But if you've got terrain, then that's going to move. So you've got to make a more experienced athlete will make that call with, wow, if I'm going up a hill, my pace will change. So will my heart rate. So what am I going to go with? What am I going to change? So my pace is slowing, but my heart rate's going up. So, how does that work? Some goes up and some goes down.
That's the worst case scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? Well, do I speed up? Yeah, okay, well, everything's going up.
Yeah, and it's going to stay up.
Yeah, it's going to stay up. So it's kind of like the more experienced runner or athlete in general will just make the call where they slow down and their heart rate stays the same. And then as soon as they come back off this terrain, then they'll be back to normal.
And how quickly that happens is how fit you are, essentially.
Yeah, effectively. And then your body just sort of gets back to a steady state.
And so you touched a little bit on zones there, and I wanted to really address zones because we've talked about a zone 3 a 3-zone and a 5-zone model.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm quite used to using the 5-zone model. I think that's because it's accessible across all the apps I use. Which
apps,
do you prefer?
Apps tend to use a 5-zone model, don't they? I'm not a massive. I mean, like I use Training Peaks. There's an array of different models on there. Like there's probably about 4 or 5 different models that exist in general, with all sorts of different levels, with 6 zones, 3 zones, 5 zones. Some coaches just use like lactate thresholds if you know the athlete really well. So these things, unfortunately, are just based on the individual and how the person who you're working with or the app you're working with probably dictates it. So let's say 5 zones, probably people are quite most common. They're probably used to 5 zones because that's their first exposure. Let's say they download Runner, it's 5 zones. Yeah. So that's their first exposure to heart rate zones or zones in general, pace zones, heart rate zones. So they just know that there's a 5-zone model. Whereas if someone's first exposure was to 3 zones, you're probably going to use 3 zones.
I agree with that. It's like the miles kilometers thing, I guess.
Yeah, miles kilometers. What's the first exposure you have to each one?
But as a coach, what do you prefer?
I use 5, and I just feel like it works better with most, like the majority of athletes. So you keep that consistency. I think there's more ability for movement within that 5 zones. But I've got to be honest, I tend to break it down to a bit simpler than that.
How so?
So like I would say sort of your base work sort of zone 1, 2, your strengths work sort of zone 3, maybe touching a little bit on 4, and then your speed works in sort of 4 or 5.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as simple as that with everyone, but effectively that's a generic sort of way you can move. You know, a lot of people talk about zone 2. It's massive out there, zone 2. Even people's ears are probably pricked up listening to this, zone 2.
This is going to be the most watched part of this episode.
Yeah, now. Zone 2, we'll cut some bits for this. Zone 2, now zone 2 is so confused at the moment, honestly. Like some coach might talk about zone 2 and talk about someone's power or someone's pace at zone 2, but that could be a 3-zone model. So you could be in zone 3, 4.
Okay.
So it's like, whoa, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, that means, so like,
if I'm having a bad day, I might just use the 3-zone model. Yeah, I was in zone 2 all day, Dan. Yeah,
I was in zone 2. Yeah. But I was like working really hard. Yeah, heart rate was like 170. Yeah, zone 2.
Oh, zone 2.
So it depends. Some people are trying to say basically it's just underneath LT2, which is a lactate turn point 2, which is again something a little bit more. Is it more complicated? No. Is it a little bit more scientific? Yes. But effectively, that then is right underneath where you start to produce almost too much lactate that you can't cycle it and get rid of it. So that's when you start to get like...
That's why it's got a turn point, because it turns up, right?
Yeah, turn point, it goes up. It goes up quite like sporadically.
Yeah.
And effectively, you can't get rid of it, so you're only on your way out. So things are going to get rough from there, effectively.
Pain,
yeah. And, but that is the top of zone 2 in a 3-zone model. But it's the top of zone 3, maybe pushing into 4 of a 5-zone model. So, yeah, I mean, I know some people who use them all. And I'm like, well, that's just mad. Because, like, you got to...
How could you not be confused?
I don't do it, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's a thing that coaches will use different points. They might use a 5-zone model and then use the lactate turn points. But if you don't know people's specific lactate turn points, and everyone's are different...
Okay. They're quite wildly different.
Yeah. It's a turn point as well. It's not a zone. It's a turn point.
Okay.
It's like there. Bang. That's it. Right there. It's 3.5. Bang. For you. For someone else, it's 3.6. It might be a tiny bit of deviation, but it's not a zone. It's not like...
It's a point.
Yeah, it's not a pace of...
It's not a range.
It's not range. Yeah, there's no range to it.
It's just there.
It's pretty much there, like within a couple of millimoles. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty specific. You'll have a pace for it, but it'll be different each day because you're a little bit dehydrated, you're a little bit underfueled, you could be tired. Those things change. Whereas your zone has a big like. There's I don't know. It depends on what sort of like what who sets your zones, but effectively it could be like 10 beats, which makes sort of this range, but so that you can work with. So you can work with that each day, depending on how tired you are. Like we talk about when you run, you like want to stay under sort of 145, and if it drifts to 147 or goes lower to 143, so that's okay. But you want to be the lowest to do well. But actually, it's okay if it moves a little bit. Like, it's fine. It's 2 beats. Like, it's fine. But if you're like a millimole out, that's a lot. Like lactate, a millimole of lactate is a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like, that's not a turn point. That's a lot. That's like, you're now in a different zone.
You're drowning in it now.
Yeah. There's a lot in there. There's a lot going on. So when you start to use these different models with it, it's hard to, unless you are working with one specific athlete, it's hard to spit that out to a group.
Yeah. It's not going to, it's individualized.
Yeah, it's individualized, which is great because it's specificity, and specificity is the key to being really good at things.
That's why you need a coach, Dan.
That's why I need a coach.
That's why you need coach, Dan.
That's why I need coaching, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to bore people, there's a lot of different zones out there. Stick to one.
So if you're going to go, if you're 5 by default, stay 5.
Yeah.
And and again, learn that one. Do you know how unrelatable it is when you say zone 1, by the way? Because nobody I know can run in zone 1, Dan.
Well, you could. You just have to run slow.
I would be walking.
But then, I tell you what, triathletes have a really big advantage here because they'll be on the bike. And it's very easy to keep your heart rate lower on the bike.
Because you can almost pause in rotation to a degree, right?
Yeah.
Whereas running, you stop. You're not running anymore.
Yeah, I mean, not many people do a lot of stuff in zone 1, but it's important. If you're tired, then... especially if you're doing a lot of volume.
Okay.
Some people are like, it's a waste of time. And it is a waste of time for some people.
If you've not got... we talked about this in, I think, the 5 or 10K sort of splits and how you train for it. It's like, if you're doing 5 to 7 runs a week, zone 2. But if you're doing 3, 1 max.
Yeah.
That's
literally,
max.
Yeah.
Because you've got more important things to work on, speed and resilience and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
strength.
And in day-to-day, you're in zone 1. Walking around.
Do you know what I heard today for the first time? Zone 0.
Zone 0.
The Aura Ring told me I was in zone 0 when I was
walking.
Did it
really?
Yeah, and I was
no
like,
way.
I feel like it was flirting with me at that
new?
point. This is new.
How
you recommended this to me.
Did I?
You did recommend It's really expensive as well.
Yeah, it is, but they're brilliant, mate. Aura.
I'm only 24 hours into usage, so I've got no comment to make. Okay. In a couple of episodes, I'll tell you more.
Okay, we'll have a.
If it gives me good stats,
we'll
it'll probably be well received.
An episode on wearables. Oh, people would love that.
I think. Okay, so we need some comments and some engagement on this video today. But let's say, comment what wearable you've got.
What wearable?
We'll do some research and we'll give you some feedback.
We will talk. We've definitely got a lot of experience between us.
Whoops, I've used lots. You've used lots. You've got athletes that use loads of different ones. So, okay. We'll come back with wearable reviews. In terms of how that data is going to assist you to become a better athlete.
In your zones.
In your zones.
In your zones.
I've got a couple of questions that are relevant to what we've just been talking about that have been submitted by users. So I thought I might just bring them up.
Yeah. I always notice I do this when we have questions.
You get really serious.
Yeah.
I think what it is, early on in this podcast, I set the scene of ask me a tough question for Dan. Yeah. So you're like, right, hang on, I'm just going to defend myself.
I just need to sort of get ready, prepped.
So I'd already said that zone 1 is completely alien, so don't mention it again, it's actually offensive. But I've got people that say, struggling to stay in zone 2 when running. So what are the suggestions if you're really just struggling? You start running, your heart rate's already zone 3. How on earth do you achieve that? And actually this happens, I've seen this happen from many people on social media that I don't know. So just your thoughts.
It's quite common, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a common problem I have with athletes who are new.
Yeah.
Not even new, to be completely honest. No, it's just a common problem. Truthfully, a really good way to stay in that zone if you don't want to slow down that much because you just don't want to and you feel it's sluggish or something like that, is have walking breaks.
Yeah.
It's the best way.
I had to at the beginning.
Yeah, if you don't want to let go of that pace, but you need the load to be lower, walking breaks.
What if you're in zone 2 after 30 seconds? Zone 3, sorry, after 30 seconds of running. So it's walking breaks every 30 seconds.
Then you got to, technically it's 30 seconds or you just slow down.
Slow down a bit.
And it's just, remember, running's more, the training in general is more than just the discipline. It's about the rhythm and it's about the feel and it's about how you're actually applying yourself. Instead of the metrics, like what you're actually doing. Like, are you stomping?
It's why I think your point about the 30 seconds and then walking is probably your best advice, because I know when I'm running in zone 2, I sometimes tend to pick up the pace to a cadence that I really love. Yeah. But probably just that takes me to LT1. Yeah. And I just need to then rather than walk, I'll just back off the pace and let it come back down. But if you had to walk, I think that's better for practicing cadence and not being sluggish. Yeah. That's pretty fair, right? Yeah.
And
I listen to you a lot, but
give it 2-3 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 6 weeks, and it will come.
So commit to it. Take the walking breaks.
Commit to it.
No
will
problem
come.
with that at all.
But you've got to commit to it. There's none of this. I'll commit to it for this week, and then go back to something else, and then go back to something else, because a lot of people have just started running or training, and they just go out of the door and they just go, "This is my pace."
Yeah,
that's my pace. This is how I run. I run, and this is my running. So then their body just goes, and goes up to 160 and just stays there.
I suspect everyone's just run is about 160, isn't it? Yeah. I think that's like a comfortable, natural cadence, right?
It's like a body's, but then you get back and you've got a good sweat on and you've worked out, and it keeps you warm in the summer and a bit hot, and it's a bit warm in the winter and a bit hot in the summer, but you feel like you've ran. Truthfully, a zone 1-2 run shouldn't feel that bad.
I've done one before where I felt like I haven't done anything really afterwards.
Which is crazy, but it's because you're trying to build that base, build that volume, build that rhythm, and actually you'll have more ground contract, so you're recruiting more mitochondria, and the more mitochondria you have in your body, the more you can get rid of lactate, so actually it's going to make you faster, and that's the common myth of run slower to run faster.
You just absolutely summarised it for everyone, so that soundbite of the day for me. Yeah. I actually feel like I felt the mitochondria change, by the way. I've got this like buoyancy in my stride, which is new. It's just got to be all the mileage we're doing. Yeah. The low end mileage. So I endorse all of Dan's
madness.
Low end recommendations, basically. Yeah. A question that was submitted about Strava specifically, but because it talks about zones, I wanted to get it in here. Because have you ever looked at Strava's zones?
Oh, not specifically.
They are wild.
Okay.
So you told me you want to be sort of 130, 140. Maybe, I think 144 really for my
like
zone
ideally.
2. That's a normal zone 2-ish. Yeah. 156 apparently. Strava saying my zone 2. Ooh. On a 5-zone model.
But I imagine it's based on your maximal heart rate.
193.
Yeah, and that's so basically you can work out your zones off a maximal heart rate. And a great way to work out your maximal heart rate would be race a 5K. Do a park run. Do 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes.
You think you'll get your max in that time?
In 20 minutes, if you're racing it, you will.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
I've never been to 193. Is my point.
Wow. There's a maximal, and then there's places you shouldn't go. But truthfully, if you're racing if you're doing a max 5K, you should get there pretty easy.
I think so. The difference then is, so Garmin and Strava estimate 193. I've never seen it above 185 or 6, maybe.
Oh, your heart rate?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it must have seen it. If it's seen it, it'll pull it in.
Really?
Yeah, it won't make it up.
I've never seen a 193.
Wow.
Never, ever, ever.
I feel like they don't make it up. They go off a maximum.
It's not estimating it based on, I think you had 8 beats in the tank left. You were 9 beats from A&E, mate, but you had 8 beats.
So anybody they just took a few on for goodwill, like 10% more because you're just for kicks. There you go.
This is not a health advice show. This is absolutely not one of those.
Just, there you go, some beats. Yeah, that's just it's a zone. No. Normally it's your max heart rate is because it's seen it.
It's actually seen it. Okay.
Yeah. You don't remember seeing it.
It affects my ego, the thought of me getting that high down. I don't want to get that high.
It's high. That's good. That's what it does, and then it works the zones up from there. So that's what probably those 8 beats. It's like that's where it pushes you up to 156 instead of maybe 148.
I don't know. Yeah, it just feels really high, but I feel like it's the same when I've looked at other people's.
Yes.
So it's not just mine. I feel like Strava is like, maybe it's appeasing people, saying, oh no, you're in zone 2 then, when actually you're in zone 3.
Weirdly, I had an athlete who went for some testing this week actually, and it was a lactate test and stuff. And to be fair, he's a real good guy, real smart athlete. And to be completely honest, the guy worked in the lab, PhD in football, but what I can see, really legit. But I do feel like there's a difference between what you can work out with sort of lactate and zones and maximal tests than what you need to do on the road. Because if you think about a test, so his test was 20 odd minutes. Now, that's brilliant. And that's okay. You do your lactate and you can hold this and maintain this and sustain this. But like cardiac drift, if that's it in 20 minutes, well, what is it over an hour?
It's going to be worse, right?
Well, yeah. So if anything, let's say they say, oh, your zone 2 is 156. Well, you've worked that out after 20 minutes. So really, it's probably a bit lower.
Yeah.
For cardiac drift, let's take cardiac drift into consideration. Let's take the fact that you might not be that aerobic. So it's you applying it in a lab to then the field, you've got to have some common sense. Have to, like, not common sense, that's a bit harsh, experience. You've got to have some experience as a coach to apply something you see. I think that's why there are still some old school coaches out there who just completely just like shun everything to do with tech because they're like, well, it's not true, is it? It doesn't happen.
It never applies exactly.
Like, you see numbers, and how many times have you heard the numbers mean you can do this, but actually they can't?
Yes.
It's not like every time, but I do testing with people and I do lactate work with people all the time. So I see these numbers move and change. And some people have fantastic lactate numbers. They're so efficient, so aerobic, but they can't do what it said. Like, they can't apply that to a marathon or a 10K or a time trial, or like they just don't have the depth of muscular strength to do it.
There's so many factors, isn't there?
Yeah, like your actual frame cannot support this. Your technique, so
that's like power, stride length, like all those sort of things, right?
Something will break down.
Okay.
So your physiology hasn't had enough experience with the distance, with the pace, with the time to actually even apply the zone. Because, like, yeah, you could be really fit. I mean, it's very rare this happens, but you could be really fit. But actually, you could pronate massively. So you're just going to break down through the marathon. You might end up injured. Do you get what I mean? That sort of thing. But actually, metabolically, you're really fit.
How do you fix that?
Just training, just time.
Pronating is training.
Well,
strength,
strength,
shoes.
Shoes make a big difference. We touch upon shoes quite a lot, but that sort of thing. Like, you need to change those things. You need to become robust and then build your capacity, but like you can only do what your body will allow you to do.
Yes, that makes sense.
You know, and sometimes to get fit, some people can have terrible metrics, but they run a lot, so they can do really good things.
And that must be the strangest part of being a coach, is all these variables of people.
It's the variables, and that's why, like, you know, I don't want to shun AI because AI is brilliant and it works really well. You know, there are some great things about it, but it won't understand that. It won't understand that someone pronates, so there's no way they're going to be.
Why did you mention AI?
Why? I don't know. I guess we're talking about Strava and it's linked to Runner.
And that's AI, I suppose.
Yeah, Strava's AI, isn't it?
It's an
algorithm.
algorithm.
And the zones, it's an algorithm, yeah. Okay. There's no common sense in it other than algorithms based on... But someone who sells it will be like, it's based on millions of people and it's flawless. It's not flawless, is it? Nothing's flawless. It's like, come on, mate. Yeah, I'm sure
I can always rely on you, Dan, to give me your true and honest opinion.
True and honest opinion, yeah.
Absolutely.
I noticed as the podcast moves on in terms of how long the episode is, I get more honest.
I think so. Yeah, you start off with this kind of professional filter.
Yeah.
Albeit a weak one, and then it just disintegrates entirely. It's caught fire by the end. It's disappeared, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's just completely decimated.
Disappeared, yeah. Which I think, you know, viewers and listeners probably appreciate, mate. They come here to ask the coach. I describe this as an opportunity to rub shoulders with a professional coach.
Yeah.
And fair. I feel like this is what we do.
Yeah. When he comes, let me know. I'll act professional.
He's due next week, funnily enough, actually. So
I'll act professional around.
I'll introduce you to him. Bit of zone 2 tax.
Zone 2 tax. Their performances are based on my information.
I've basically got a really important question about people with lower heart rates.
Yep. What's it basing it off?
I have no idea.
Okay. That's 2 questions in one, really.
Okay.
Like,
do I have to pay extra?
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
Interesting. I get into zone 4 if I'm just having a bad day.
I would put my lower heart rate athletes in a little pot.
So the myth I've got in my head is that lower heart rate, you're better.
One day it shot up to 70. You're like, oh, great. Not so great.
I'll take it off.
Twiddle your thumbs. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off.
It's going in the bin.